Welcome back to Biz Today. So before the break, we spoke with Jayashree Naidu, the head of the incubator at Standard Bank, and she told us all about the various initiatives which the incubator supports. One of them being Lionesses of Africa. Now we've got the founder Melanie Hawken in studio, so let me tell you a little bit about Lionesses of Africa. It's a network of female entrepreneurs looking for advice and insight and a platform where they can promote and share their business ideas. Welcome to Biz Today, Melanie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So I know I follow you online quite closely, as I do Jayashree. We just spoke to Jayashree now, and a lot of prominent women online. So it's amazing to see the work that you do.
The world is shrinking, particularly for women entrepreneurs. And I think the interesting thing is when you can leverage the power of online and actually get closer to a lot of the women entrepreneurs that you follow and that you maybe want to get advice from, or you just want to be able to understand how they've built their own businesses and brands. Being online is the way that it brings everybody closer.
100%. I agree with that. So you've successfully taken Lionesses of Africa into the online space, and it's just been phenomenal. How did the concept come about?
It was one of those, a lot of people ask me the same question. It was one of those epiphany moments, and I have to say I had that classic epiphany moment at the age of 50 that a lot of women do, and woke up that morning and said, what do I do with all of these years of experience that I've had as an entrepreneur? How do I actually make a difference in other people's lives by taking all of that experience and actually sharing it in a way that is worthwhile? And it started with a book. And I started writing and researching a book called Lionesses of Africa, which was actually telling the stories of some of the amazing women entrepreneurs that had inspired me since I first came to Africa. And that's over 10 years ago now. And I started talking with them. We started doing the interviews. The book started to come together. But every interview I did ended with the conversation, well, the book's a great idea, but it's not enough. What else are you going to do? And Lionesses of Africa, the community, the online digital platform, and everything else that now goes with it, because it's grown a lot from that initial concept, emerged from those original interview discussions for a book. And because I come from a publishing environment and a writing environment, it was a sort of classic place for me to start. But I don't think I realized those years ago that sitting here today, we would have a network in 36 African countries, 180,000 women entrepreneurs and growing. We'll be over 250,000 strong by the end of the year. And we are genuinely on a mission to bring together at least 1 million women entrepreneurs into our network by 2018, to really start getting them to share their stories, to inspire one another, and to connect with each other so that they can actually do greater business. It's a great vision to have, but it's happening.
It's happening. I mean, it must be, I imagine for you waking up every morning, just unbelievable that the thought that you had some years ago has now transformed completely into a massive movement of female entrepreneurs.
I have the best job in the world. I say to everybody, when I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to get to the desk. I'm one of those classic early risers. So I'm at my desk between 4 and 5 every morning. Yeah. Anyone that is in our network knows that at 7 o'clock every morning, we have an amazing piece of content called Good Morning Lionesses, which is our newsletter that goes out to everyone in our network, all 180,000 of them and growing. And it's that little touch point in the morning that makes all the difference. So when I sit there very early every single morning before the birds are singing and putting Good Morning Lionesses together, it's that wonderful moment when I can connect with an entire community of women entrepreneurs just like me, really doing amazing things, building great businesses, building great brands, but needing that opportunity to be able to share and connect. It can be a lonely place being a woman entrepreneur anywhere in the world, here in Africa particularly. So just having that little touch point in the morning, it's one of the things we do that brings our community closer.
That discipline in itself is so inspiring, Melanie, I have to tell you.
Oh, it's the publishing background. If I could say to you, deadline-oriented, publishing background, it's part of my DNA.
So I've in the presentation this morning at the Lionesses of Africa breakfast that we attended, it was a great experience. I remember you saying that you have over 35 years experience as an entrepreneur. Yeah. What have been some of the most common themes or challenges you found among female entrepreneurs?
The first one I hear pretty much every day, it's either how do I get access to market for my products and my services and my business? How do I build a brand from scratch when no one knows about me? I know where I want to go as an entrepreneur, but how do I do that practically? And then access to finance. Those tend to be the three big things facing any woman entrepreneur out there. And we were just talking about it earlier on. I mean, there were some women in our audience at the event today that have been in business for 25, 30 years. And they still face some of the same challenges. It might well be that their business is going through a transition phase. They might still need access to finance, but in a different way. They still need access to markets because it's changing. I mean, our global marketplace is shrinking in one way. It's bringing a lot of global markets that we never thought possible to be able to reach closer to us because of the power of digital, amongst other things. But also it's challenging because the market is growing. There are so many more people trying to access those markets. It means your products and your services have to be different, positioned differently. You have to be very good at doing a lot of things that you maybe necessarily didn't have to do in the past, like social media, to be able to get your brand and your business and your products out there. Because if you're a woman entrepreneur in Africa, particularly if in a rural part of Africa, it can be tough. You don't necessarily have access to some of the things that the rest of us in urban environments take for granted.
Very much so.
So I think a lot of the challenges that any woman or entrepreneur around the world faces, whether it be access to markets or brand building or access to finance, they exist here too. It's just how those women entrepreneurs go about finding the solutions. That's the trick. And it's part of what we're there to do in conjunction with partners like Standard Bank. You know, we need to be able to bring to our community of entrepreneurs, we need to bring the right solutions, we need to bring the right connectors, the right partners, people with the right information and platforms.
So I'm glad that you mentioned Standard Bank because you've developed an exciting partnership with them.
Very much so.
How did that happen? Tell us a bit more about it.
Well, I think it's one of those wonderful things. I think when you are in the right place at the right time and someone hears about what you're doing, and it was when we first launched Lionesses of Africa, and it was I remember it well, it was on the first ever Women's Entrepreneurship Day globally in New York on November the 19th, and we did a launch globally, and I remember doing the launch here and talking to people in my network, some of whom were from Standard Bank, and saying, Lionesses of Africa, we're looking to change the face of women's entrepreneurship on a continent, and we're looking to do it with the support of major partners. And when we're ready, and when we need the support of major players like the banks, will you come on board? And I think what happened very quickly for us was because our community started to grow far more rapidly than we'd envisaged in the early days. We were able to say, for all of those that have similar aspirations, that want to see a growth of women's entrepreneurship in Africa, that really want to be part of our journey, come on board. And Standard Bank were the very first big, large-scale corporate to come on board and actually understand our vision, but not just that, want to be part of it.
That's incredible because, of course, then you can provide the targeted solutions that you need to the network.
That's exactly it.
Which is absolutely great. So I suppose most of the viewers watching and anyone who comes across Lionesses of Africa will want to know, they will know from reading, but we want to hear it from you. Why would an entrepreneur want to join this network?
Why not? I mean, at the end of the day, we are, like I said, changing the face of women's entrepreneurship on a continent. We powerfully believe that telling and sharing stories of women entrepreneurs who are making it, who are building great brands and businesses, ones that can go global, that are producing innovative products, by really showcasing them to the rest of the world, showcasing them to one another. Because the one thing we found here in Africa, that if we can actually persuade every woman entrepreneur to do business with another woman entrepreneur, you already have a changing dynamic. You can change economies. You can actually change the way that countries approach entrepreneurship. If you have the sheer numbers of women that have been kind of building small businesses, but not really building substantial businesses that can employ other people, that can actually change the economic dynamic of a country and a continent, and particularly at a community level, because women entrepreneurs, they tend to give 90% of the monies that they bring through their businesses back into a community. They're game changers, and they're game changers in so many ways. So by us creating a community that brings them all together in one place, where they can do business with one another, where they can be profiled and showcased to the world so the world can do business with them, we can actually change the direction, the economic direction of a continent. You're talking about half a continent's population. If we can make them more economically productive and really showcase them to the world and make them global, then you make a difference.
You're already doing some very exciting things with the network and have connected, as you say, 180,000 women. What are the future plans, or just maybe a sneak peek into some of the future plans for Lionesses of Africa?
Yeah, we have a lot of plans. We have some really big ideas. We're going to be launching some of them very soon. As I say, Lioness Radio Show, which is a new podcast radio platform, will be launching later this month. We have a dedicated stream TV program that is going to be launching, the Lioness TV show. That's going to be coming out later in the year. We have a lot of initiatives. Really, they're going to be helping women to really get their products, their services, and their companies out there. So whether we're talking about developing a woman's business accelerator with Standard Bank, something that we're looking forward to doing very shortly, or it's getting together our Lioness Lean In breakfast event series, which are hugely popular and very successful. We're going to be taking those to the rest of the continent, country by country. We're really going to be growing those communities of women entrepreneurs on the ground in every country. We're in 36 now. We're looking to be in all African countries by the end of the year, and continually bringing new exciting tools, platforms and services that will help them to grow their businesses, and at the end of the day get the world talking about them.
That's incredible. I can only wish you everything, all success for Lionesses of Africa, and I'm hoping that we have you back soon to tell us even more exciting developments with Lionesses of Africa, Melanie.
Love to.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us on Biz Today.
Thank you.
That was Melanie Hawken, founder of Lionesses of Africa, which has an exciting partnership with Standard Bank. I'm glad that today you got to hear more about the exciting developments that are going on in the entrepreneurship space in South Africa, and also networks that you can join as a female entrepreneur. Now, don't forget, you caught Biz Today, but you could also catch me on my radio show called We Mean Business. It's on Radio Al Ansar, 90.4 FM Durban, 105.6 FM Peter Marisburg, or live stream www.alansar.co.za. And also, you can find us on social media. Just look for Biz Today. Until next week, goodbye.